Well, as I said, I took that audio from a video. You guys were on two different sets, and then as you swap solos, they cut back and forth to both of you. So were you being recorded while you were being filmed? Because it would be hard to milli vanilli that type of soloing, believably.
Right. No, that was live stuff there. That was, in fact, that came up really quickly. One of the guys at Fishman had said, hey, can you get us a video of you going through some of the stuff? And so, of course, we decided to take it a little further. And so Jennifer is in Oregon, and I'm in Colorado, and I had my daughter help me. I just had her hit and play and stop and play and stop, and just went through the sounds we had. We were doing 8 bars a piece, and I knew the sections that I was supposed to play and where she was going to play, and I just did those and sent that off to Jennifer, and then she edited it together.
Wow, it was seamless, as we just heard. And when you watch it, it's seamless too. And one nice thing about it is, as you guys go through the sound library, there's graphics up there that say what each sound is. So it's a nice commercial for it too. But like I said, all those sounds you just heard, it was just guitar playing. So you also had to adjust your playing to sort of play what a harmonica player might do, or just back in the days of MIDI guitar synths, same thing. About how
right, and see, and that was my approach. Was I was trying to take certain sounds and play it a little different way according to what that sound was, as opposed to just playing the way I normally would and just have a different sound on my guitar. Some sounds just were more conducive to that than others. I think to shred with or not. But yeah, it's a great thing. It was a fun thing to learn and do. And I think when we put those sound names up there, what we were trying to do, and through the whole clinic, the whole tour, we didn't use any other sounds than what their factory sounds were, because I wanted to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, yeah, this is exactly, when you buy this is what you're going to get, and what I played is what you could do with this. So
yeah, it's nice to do exactly what you just said, so people take it home and go, wait a minute, because back in the early days of synthesizers, like things they would call it trumpet, and you'd play it and it would sound like total crap, and you go, who considers this a trumpet? I'm not buying it.
Right. Exactly. It's so true.
There was another product that you guys demoed too, which was the Digitech Trio pedal, and that was a pretty interesting device. What can you say about that?
Well, that was really a very popular item. I enjoyed demoing that, and one of the reasons I did is because the thing that it does is you play a chord progression into it. You just hit the pedal, it flashes, and it's ready to learn. You just play a chord progression, hit the pedal again. When you hit the pedal to start it, it's going to play back a bass line and a drum beat to the chord progression that you just played. And the thing that's cool about it is that it does, it doesn't do just a generic bass, static single notes or anything like that. It kind of puts a line to it, and it changes the line, and depending on what genre you have it set on, it picks different bass sounds. And then the drums do the same thing, and they kind of have a human element to it, because it'll do fills, random fills and things like that. So you can actually play along with it. You can play off of it. You can react to it as you would with other musicians.
It's an amazing concept.
Yes, night to night. I mean, I was just putting myself on the spot each time and improvising and just reacting to it right there in front of everybody, and so that they could see that this is what you can do.
Would you consider it to be more of a compositional tool, a writing tool, or more of a performance tool?
I take it more as the compositional thing. You could do it as a performance thing. The only drawback to it is that you have to create each one of the parts. It can do 3 parts. You'd have to play the part, each 3 parts, and then do your piece. And because it doesn't store those. So
yeah, I would imagine it would be just the way I took it was, hey, here's a way, is it having your drummer or your bass player come along and get bored as you play a chord progression, having them do it over and over and over, just let this machine do it. But it's amazing that it can just hear your chords and intuitively know something to play under it. I mean, and
Absolutely,
you know, and
absolutely.
I did hear your demo you did in Glendale, and it was cool, man. I was pretty impressed, and that's not very expensive either. It's like under $200.
It was, and that's what it really inspired people to just pick it up, right after these clinics. People were just going and saying, I want one of those. That's the thing I've needed. And so that was cool to see that people are going to be picking up a product that's going to inspire them to, get on to something that they've probably been, holding back on. And so.
Oh, I know people were buying Trio pedals and Digitech whammy pedals and Fishman systems, there before they went home. They were just buying them. I know that for a fact.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so, and then that's why, making those connections with people, we had email lists and we want to hear from those people, and we're contacting those people and, everyone that was there, and hopefully that can keep growing out to more people, but, hear what they've been doing and what luck they've had.
Okay, now that you're kind of decompressed, it's a good time to talk to you because it's all fresh in your mind. Which was I didn't want to. If I talked to you a year from now, it'd be a little different vibe. But
right.
I want to know, what are your you and Jennifer's future plans with the seminars and clinics? Are you going to wait a while, then go back out again, or I know she's very popular in Europe. She probably gigs more in Italy than she does in the U.S. She mentioned the possibility of taking you over there, or what kind of ideas? Or obviously there's a lot of U.S. cities you didn't hit that you could hit. What's the plan right now? Or are you just sort of regrouping and?
Well, a lot of things were popping up because of this. There was a lot of people that attended the seminars. We had a lot of college professors,
Wow.
and people that were involved with music in colleges. We had a Berkeley professor. We had a lot of different people, and really a lot of people were saying, you need to bring this into the colleges. We did do one college out in California, Los Altos, Foothill College, and I think that's a really good venue. I think those are people that are, they're invested in what they're doing and wanting to further themselves, and this is a component that could be brought to them from an outside source that could maybe reinforce some things that they're learning or expose them to some things that they might not have heard of, and some things to look forward to. So I know that's something that Jennifer's going to be doing, and I know that she has been working on a book as well, and of her life, and I think if she gets that to a certain point and gets that published, she could tie those things together.
Mm-hmm.
My portion of the seminar I was calling Sonic Wisdom. And, I'm going to continue to do some of that stuff because that's what I've been doing for a long time with my music school, and that's kind of how we connected on doing this seminar, and going to continue to do that, and hopefully we can do some more things in the future. I know I'm going to bring her out here and do some things in the near future.
Well, you guys click well. I can see why she wanted you there because, number one, you're pretty chill. You got a long fuse. You're not going to be like giving her a hard time or complaining or anything. And I saw you were working, man. You were setting up. You were tearing down. You're not a slacker. And then, of course, you're an amazing musician. So you're like the perfect guy. Even both your names start with J.E., which is interesting because she was with Jeff Beck, J.E., Jennifer,
right.
J.E., Jesse, J.E. Might have to change my name to Jeremiah or something. See if my playing improves.
Right. Well, no, it's been great. I mean, the story behind that is, Jennifer and I met her when I was going to GIT back in '85, and she just really kind of was a breath of fresh air to me out there, and I liked everything about her playing and her approach to music, and I would call her from time to time, and that's when she got the Michael Jackson gig, and I kept in contact with her, and we just remained friends for a long time. And then I had my own music school that I had going, and brought her out to do some clinics and master classes, and it wasn't really, and we'd met up, we'd met up in London a couple times, and when she was with Jeff, and when she's come through Colorado, and just always been friends, and of course had the music thing in common. But it wasn't probably until about 4 years ago that we really had guitars in both of our hands at the same time, and that was up at her place, and actually did some playing together, and thought, maybe we could do some things together like that as well. So it all came out of the music thing, but being friends first, so.
Yeah, and those are the two things. If she brought a great player along with her, but it was someone she couldn't stand, or if she brought along someone she really loved, but they sucked at guitar, it's like you
That's right.
kind of need to have the one, too. And speaking of which, I can tell from what I've heard of your playing that you're well-versed in a number of musical styles, certainly metal, certainly blues, but also bluegrass and jazz. And you mentioned, going to the Institute and also having your own. But going back even further, I mean, what was your musical background growing up, and what are your listening preferences today?
Yeah, well, I really I was fortunate enough to have brothers that were quite a bit older than me when I was young, and they were 10 to 13 years older than me, and I was born in '67, and they were in high school and junior high, and they were listening to what was hot at the time, and they were putting headphones on me as a 2-3-year-old, so I'd go back to Zeppelin and Santana and a lot of things that I can remember when I was young. I remember doing the drum solo to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida when I was like 6 years old, and
nice.
Standing up, I could only stand up and play the drums, and so that's kind of what started me, and then went through a lot of things, a lot of Southern rock. Really liked the Outlaws and Leonard Skinner and Marshall Tucker and things like that, and of course the Eagles and Steely Dan. I love all their stuff. Larry Carlton. When I was in high school, I wasn't listening to what a lot of people were listening to. I was really into the Dregs, Steve Morris and Al Di Meola and Larry Carlton and Alan Holdsworth. And my main band through that time was Rush. I really loved Rush, and they spoke to me. I loved their whole idea of individuality and nonconformity and just their musicianship. That's what I was aspiring to when I was, a senior in high school. And so, yeah, I've just let it all kind of come into anything that moves me, whether it's a, vocal thing, guitar, drums, anything like that. That's what I'm all about.
To incorporate it into your own style. Yeah, a lot of the artists you mentioned, like Steely Dan, they're eclectic. They'll pull in rock, soul, jazz, blues, anything that sounds good. So, it also, if you only listen to one particular style, it's nice to hear people that bring in different things and then they fuse it together and you fuse it together. And so I'm saying I could tell that, sometimes when you listen to a player, it just might be one little thing they do that you.
Right.
Steve Morrison and Dregs is a good example. With Mark O'Connor and some of the other players. There was a clique when I was in high school that was also the Al Di Meola, Stanley Clarke. I get that. Well, at the beginning of the show, we heard a sample of a track called Impromantic. So is that your mashup of improv and romantic?
That's right. I mean, it just had that kind of chill vibe. I mean, it just it goes through a process of, I kind of picture that as a meeting someone, going out on a date and taking it all the way through the night, and that's kind of how that song flows to me.
Yeah. And speaking of titles, Fire Ready Aims, possibly the most dyslexic album title I've heard. So how are we putting fire ahead of aiming?
Well, it's really the whole thing about that album is there's a couple things. There's some conscious things and some unconscious things. Basically, I had always thrown ideas down, on a recorder. I get hit with an idea, throw it down, put the guitar down, bass, drums, and I would leave those things. Or some of those things were chord progressions, things that I would use to experiment with key changes and things I would use to instruct other people with. And I had those around for a long time and a few new ideas. And I thought it was just time to purge all of those things and actually record them properly, and so I could move on to the next. And I gave myself a week, booked studio time, and said, whatever happens in that week, whatever you record, that's what it's going to be. You're going to capture that moment. So, and that's another part of that Impromantic is that that whole thing is all improvisation. A lot of the solo work in there is not thought out or anything like that. It was just put myself on the spot, and whatever comes out comes out. And the conscious thing there was there's a lot of moments in a lot of those songs that I have that I could have really dove into what I would call more guitar-driven ideas, guitarmanship. Where I could have said, "Oh, hey, there's an A flat 13, and so I'm going to do a melodic minor," or there's a sharp 5, and I can do this. And I could have taken a lot of things and gone down that road to show what I can do on guitar and go that direction. But I really wanted to approach it from just sheer emotion and just emote. That's what I prefer to do, and that's why I like playing with certain people. If they bring out things in me, I can respond to that, and it just is a pure thing to it. And I know, on this tour, a lot of the people that had gotten a hold of my album, took the time to write me and say, really enjoyed your album and said what they liked. And it was cool because a lot of these guys were, I had exchanged albums with them, and they had some great work as well. And I liked that it translated the way I wanted it to. And I had people that are non-musicians who enjoy this album. They don't feel like it's a pretentious thing or it's over their heads or anything. It's just music for the sake of music. So.
Yeah, and I agree. Feel is more important than academic knowledge. I mean, to the average person, even to a lot of musicians, 13th chords and altered chords and stuff, it's lost on them. They just know if they play an augmented chord on I Want You, She's So Heavy on Abbey Road, people just get the feel from it without understanding the musical theory behind it. So you can punch that stuff in to enhance your work where necessary, but you're right. Given a choice of one or the other, sounds like you put a sense of urgency on yourself to get like a spontaneous and emotional product instead of one of those, thought out things that takes you 3.5 years to do.
That's right. Because it's like, the masterpiece can come later.
Yeah, and in the end, the masterpiece, sometimes the fresh thing you did, like, demos or live recordings that people do without really any expectation of it being anything, you look back and go, wow, man, I've heard recordings of myself from years ago that I can't even play the stuff I did anymore. Stuff that I spontaneously thought of, include, like you mentioned, Alan Holdsworth. I did this one thing. I go, I played that. I can't, but it sounded so cool and so complicated, and I just thought of it on the spot and could never play it again. But
yeah, that's exactly right. And you try to recapture those things, and sometimes you can get close, but yeah, like you said, it was a moment. It's kind of a magical thing that happens, and just something works through you, channels through you, and it comes out, and there it was.
Well, we're going to go out with another nice track from that album, Fire, Ready, Aim. When you go looking for it, remember Jesse is spelled Jesse. I know a lot of people spell it with an IE at the end, so bear that in mind when you're doing your search. It occurs to me that, I wouldn't call you guys equal partners, but, it was Jennifer's thing, but you really did. I honestly, I hadn't known who you were until this experience, and I get the impression that, she exposed you to a lot of new people in a lot of new ways.
That's right. And and for that, I am very grateful. It was a great, comfortable environment to be able to do that with, and to be a support for her, and then for her to shine a spotlight on me at times, and give me a chance to earn what I could earn out there, and pay the dues that I need to. And so it was nice to have that opportunity.
And it works both ways because it benefited you, but, it benefited her too because you were the right man for the job. She didn't need to bring, a driver and a roadie and a guitar player. You were everything in one.
That's exactly right, man. She can count on me anytime.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I really enjoyed meeting you out there on the road. I look forward to running into you again at some point in some various way. I don't know if it'll be another seminar or a gig or what it is going to be. But yeah, I appreciate you calling in today. It's been fun, and you're welcome back anytime.
I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to meet you too, and I'm sure we will be seeing each other in the near future.
We're going to close the show now with a tasty little number from Jesse's album. This is called No Pleasing You. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time.